Hello students, how are you? Welcome back to the consumer behavior subject. Now we are about to start the third unit under CB, consumer behavior. What is that? The impact of culture on consumer behavior. So in this unit we are going to understand about culture, subculture, cross cultures, family life cycle, reference groups, XYZ things. Now, first of all, we understand actually what do you know culture and where do you get the culture and what are the characteristics of the culture. Okay. As you all know that in the society, the people are segmented according to their habits, according to their education background, social status into various groups. Every group of people will have their own habits, their own thinking nature, psychological way of what you call making the decisions. What do you call this? This you are calling as the culture. Right? You take South Indian, North Indian. You find a lot more variation as far as the culture is concerned. Their food habits are different. Our food habits are different. I mean to say South Indian food habits are different. You take what you called the geographical comparison. Eastern countries are there. Western countries are there, isn't it? So altogether they have what you call different habits, different day-to-day activities, quite different lifestyles. What to call this? You are calling this one as the culture. While understanding the consumer behavior, understanding the culture of the sect of people, group of people is also very, very important. Especially for the marketers, if they are able to identify exactly the kind of culture, it's very, very easy to them to target to that group of people, that group of customers or the consumers with the appropriate product. Hence, understanding about the culture, gives a valuable information as far as decision making of what we call the consumer behavior aspects are concerned. Okay, generally, how to define a culture? So, a culture is the sum total of learned beliefs, values, and customs that serve to direct the consumer's behavior of members of a particular society. Right from the morning to till we go to what we call bed, we are going to have different kinds of habits in terms of food taking habits are concerned, in terms of what we called wearing the clothes are concerned, in terms of what we call meeting the friends are concerned. So based upon the occasion, we are going to have different kinds of products purchased so that we can fulfill our needs. Hence, understanding the culture is again very, very important. So here, what is the culture here? Actually, it's a beliefs or else what call the values, customs that serve to direct the consumer's behavior of members of a particular society. So culture is everything that is socially learned and shared by the members of a society. What in a society? Society means group of people. Again, distinctions are there, differences would be there, but group of people, what do you call the society? So how we are transforming the culture? Nothing but when you are living in among is the group of the people, automatically through the observation, through the various mediums, you are understanding about the culture, right from what you called, the senior generations to what you call the next upcoming generations. So what you call this? The culture is nothing but socially learned. The culture consists of material and as well as the non-material components. So as far as the non-material components are concerned, we can consider here beliefs, customs, ideas. So what do you mean a culture? A culture is nothing but the sum total of learned beliefs, values and customs. That's it. Now we are going to discuss the characteristics of the culture. The very first one is the culture is invented. As I told you, the culture is going to what called transform from the senior people to the junior people in the society. Let us take a family itself. From the heads of the family to the children, automatically culture will be transformed. I mean to say, the culture will not exist to immediately identify. Culture will flow. It is a perennial activity. The culture will be invented through the habits of the people, through the thinking nature of the people, through the decision making of the people. Culture is learned. So the culture is going to what you called transform. Culture is going to pass on from what you called from one kind of generation to the next kind of generation. So then what happens here? The next generation will be observing their previous generation habits, their ideologies, their what you called decision making habits. So based upon that, what will be there? The culture is going to be learned. So while learning, so many what you called questions will be arises. Based upon that, the needs are going to be satisfied. Culture is socially learned. So group of people going to share some information, isn't it? Some ideas, some habits, isn't it? It's nothing but what? Learning the culture. The culture is socially learned. The cultures are similar but different. It's a tricky point. Now let us take any kind of culture, whether the Western culture, what you call Eastern countries culture, South Indian culture, or else what you call North Indian culture. Few things are common. What is that as far as things are concerned? Cooking, education, family, gestures, housing, language, isn't it? Few kinds of things are there, but internally every kind is going to be different. Externally both all what you call seems to be similar, but when you go what you call understanding the minor points of each and everything, they are going to be different. So that indicates that cultures are similar but different. Culture is gratifying and persistent. So go on observing various habits, accumulating various what you call the psychological aspects years together, ages together. That is going to help to the humankind. And also the information whatever you are going to acquire, which is going to be the continuous, I mean to say the persistent. Culture is adaptive. So one generation people are going to adapt different habits of their previous generation, because most of the time the culture will be changing. So before 2000 you take that generation, most of the people were what you call not familiar with the usage of the cell phone. Now the millennial people, if you take what will, they are very much familiar with the usage of the cell phone, electronic gadgets. What do you call that? That is the what you call the change adopted by what you call the younger generation of the people. So culture is organized and integrated. So when you are understanding about the culture, it will have a particular order and also combine together so that the next generation people can learn that what you call benefit from that culture. The final one is the culture is perspective. So what is that last point? The culture is prescriptive. So prescriptive in the sense It will inform what is good, what is bad, what cannot be done, what can be done. Understand? So such a way, if information is possible, what do you call that, prescriptive nature. So such a way, these are all going to be the very, very important characteristics of the culture. What is the first one? Culture is invented, the culture is learned, culture is socially learned, cultures are similar but different, culture is gratifying and persistent, culture is adaptive, culture is organized and integrated, culture is prescriptive. Now we discuss the dimensions of the culture. So how to measure the culture psychologically? Depth, length, isn't it? So what do you call these? You are assuming as the dimensions of the culture. Different countries have different cultures leading to different consumer behaviors. We all know that every country will have its own culture. Based on the culture, needs will arise. When need to be fulfilled, what is required? Products or services are required. So that is the area where actually the marketers are going to be targeting the customers. The base of Indian culture is values which are inserted in many subcultures. Now we are going to discuss about the subcultures also. So we the Indians actually value the what you called good habits, procedures, which we are going to have from what you called the senior members of the family. So important values are which are adopted by large number of people, followed for a long period of time. Generally, when you are adopting the values which are important, which are unimportant, generally the important values are those values those actually people will practice for ages together. A large number of people will be practicing that. That becomes the value. Values help the marketers to identify the consumer behavior. So by tracking down the exact values of the group of people really makes the marketers about what you called the product sales. So these are some of the dimensions of the culture. The first one is the family orientation, savings, festivities, shopping as a ritual, foods. Let us take our Indian culture itself, family orientation. Generally, in a family, the head is going to be the what you called the person who is going to earn for the fulfilling of the basic needs of the family. Generally, the male persons will be considered, understand? So he is going to decide the needed kind of products to the entire family members. So sometimes what happens, they are going to prefer the mix of brands also. The next dimension of what we call culture is nothing but the savings. So savings is very much inherent in every Indian. What is the purpose of the savings? So savings actually helps whenever unexpected situation arises to come out from that situation. What is required? Savings are very much essential. Generally in India what happens? Socio-economic class of the people invest in purchasing the jewelry, assumed as a savings itself. So which is also one more dimensions for what to call the marketers to understand about the consumers. Shopping as a ritual. So we the Indians generally what to call based upon the occasion we go for doing shopping. Festival seasons would be there. More number of what to called cloth items we are going to purchase. Hasn't it? So more business would be there as far as what you call clothes are concerned. Groceries are concerned. Understand? So based upon that, the market is decides what are the things essentially needed by the consumers according to the context. So those types of items will be maintained in the market. And one more dimension to understand about the culture is nothing but the food. And Indian food is a very well known food as far as what you called quality, taste is concerned. We prefer spicy food. Understand? So based upon that, the kind of items, ingredients are required will be understood by the marketers to maintain in the market. So these are the dimensions of the culture, which explains about the overall nature of the consumer's behavior. So what are those dimensions? Family orientation, savings, festivities, shopping as a ritual, and as well as the foods. The next we are going to discuss about the subculture. Every culture will have some what you call distinguished subparts. What you call that, the subculture. Again, the people who are having the same kind of habits, psychological behavior, decision making process going to become a subculture. So how do you define a subculture? A culture which exists within a culture is known as the subculture. So generally, narrow way focusing on the culture is called as what we call subculture. So a subculture has more narrow focus and is ruled by commonness. Commonness means here similarities. So as far as the subculture is concerned, the important categories are A subculture, regional subculture, gender subculture, social classes. And as far as age subculture is concerned, as you all know very well that according to the age group, the customers are going to have different needs. Like youngsters will be there. They have different needs. And what you call infants are there. Their needs are going to be different. Middle-aged people will be there. Elderly consumers would be there. By understanding what you call the age subculture, again, the marketers are going to have the clear-cut idea about the consumer behavior. Regional subculture. So people are going to have different lifestyles based upon the area, based upon the climate, and based upon what you call the ethnic mix of the people. What you call this regional subculture. North Indians, South Indians, deeper into South India, eastern places of the India, isn't it? So climatic or weather conditions are going to be different. If you go to eastern part of the India, so generally in the winter, much more consumption of what you called tea powder would be there. So if it comes to South India, what will be there? More consumption of what you call beverages would be there. That means which clearly indicates the needs of the customers. Gender subculture, male, female. Very, very important. So based upon the gender also, exclusively they are going to have different needs. The products which cater their needs, which satisfies their needs, identification is very, very important for the development of the business. Social class, one more subculture. Middle class, rich class, poorer class in the society. So based upon their income level, based upon what you call their occupation. According to these social classes are also, the needs are going to be different. To cater all these needs, products are required, services are required, understand? Hence, subculture understanding is going to be a very, very important aspect as far as the consumer behavior is concerned. What is a subculture? A culture which exists within a culture is known as the subculture. Best examples like age subculture will be there, a regional subculture would be there, gender subculture would be there, social class would be there. Now we are going to discuss important subcultural categories like very first one, nationality or Hispanic subcultures. Let us take the powerful nation on the earth, USA, United States of America. The people who born in the USA and they become the nationals of that country. But from other countries, if the people have migrated to the USA and if they settle down there, they become the Hispanics. Like more number of Cubans would be there, Asian people would be there, understand? Mexicans would be there. So based upon the nationalities and Hispanics, the cultures are going to change. Needs also going to change. Based upon that, the marketer decides the kind of services or else the products required by the people. Religious subcultures. Any country you take, you find what to call different kinds of religions. For every religion, different kinds of ideologies would be there. Different kinds of needs would be there. Based upon that, what to call the products targets would be there. Let us take our India itself. So many religions are there. So based upon their need, different kinds of products or services are required. What to call this religious subculture? Geographic and regional what to call subcultures. So based upon the climate and geographical area, the customers are going to want of different products to identify and try to satisfy their needs is going to be very, very important aspect. So what to call this? The geographic and regional subcultures. The racial subculture. Let us take USA itself. In America, you find whites are there, blacks are there, Indians are there, isn't it? So various different racial groups are there, and they are going to have what we call the different needs. To satisfy them becomes what we call the racial subculture. And age subculture. So again in the age, what do you find? You find elderly people, infants, youth, understand? So based upon that, different needs one need to be satisfied. Again, the final one, what to call is the gender subculture. So male, female, different needs will be arising. Okay, to satisfy their needs becomes what called effectively the study of the consumer behavior. So what to call this? The important subcultural categories. What are those? The nationality or Hispanic subcultures, religious subcultures, geographic and regional subcultures, racial subcultures, age subculture, and as well as the gender subculture. Now we discuss about the cross-cultural marketing practices. Sometimes few companies, larger companies, will target to what to call more than one country, isn't it? As far as the products are concerned. So what do you call that? The cross-cultural marketing practices. Because in home countries sometimes doing business becomes very, very difficult and may not be fetching wanted kind of the results. In such a situation, they prefer what to call any other markets outside that homeland, so that they can have what to call healthy growth of what to call their business. Okay. So under cross-cultural marketing practices, what is there? It is a cultural marketing, refers to marketing of products for consumers of two or more countries. You know very well, so many big companies are there, multinational companies are there. Generally their products, they not only target to only India, they not only target to only China. Like cell phones are there, Apple company phones are there. Throughout the world you may have the cell phones. Samsung electronic products are there. Everywhere you will be find on the globe. So what do you call this? The cross-cultural marketing practices. The marketers must study the psychological, social and cultural attributes of the consumer they wish to target. So what is required before entering into the cross-cultural marketing? They should understand the consumer psychological and as well as social cultural attributes. What kind of preferences the people are giving, their what to call the day-to-day habits, their cultural what to call activities. Having this information is very very important before entering into the cross-cultural marketing practices. Why actually cross-cultural marketing required? The reasons. Most firms enter into cross-cultural marketing. The first one is due to limited opportunities in the domestic market. In the home countries, I mean to say in the domestic markets where actually the company really started its business, may not be having the encouraging environment. Then they look forward the cross-cultural marketing reasons. Sometimes rather than satisfying the domestic market consumer needs, they feel more encouragement what to call outside the domestic market, foreign markets. They find better opportunities in the foreign markets. So these are the main reasons to indulge into the cross-cultural marketing. These are few of the influencing factors as far as the consumer behavior is concerned in the cross-cultural marketing. The first one is the country of origin effects. Based upon the country where actually the consumers are living and their what you called customs, the environmental effects are all going to be what you called having huge impact as far as the behavior of the what you called consumer is concerned. The next one is consumer ethnocentrism. So ethnocentrism means people viewing their own in-group as central. So this is also going to have huge impact as far as the decision making process is concerned of the consumer. The targeting consumers across the cultures. It's going to be a very very tough task as far as the companies are concerned, because various countries, various regional what you call geographical differences, various atmospheric environments, various psychological aspects, all together to convince in all these spheres, in all these dimensions means very very difficult. The next one is the global versus local brands. So when a global brand is going to enter into any market, locally few already established brands would be there. They are going to face huge competition from those brands. So to sustain with that stiff competition and getting establishment in that particular what you call the country, it's a very very big task in front of what you call the company which prefers the cross-cultural marketing. So now I'm going to stop here. So what we learned till now: cross-cultural influence on consumer behavior, the main reasons for cross-cultural marketing. What do you mean by cross-cultural marketing? Subcultural categories. What do you mean subculture? Dimensions of culture. Characteristics of the culture. And what do you mean by culture? The next class we discuss about the social class. Thank you so much.